Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Meghan Rogers. I'm an author, writer, and creator with a passion for connecting to readers and helping writers tell their stories. And today I'm going to tell you about why I decided to stop querying my young adult book. Now, this is a book, if you've been on the channel for a little bit, I did go into detail about what this book is and my writing journey with it, which I will link those above if I can do both of them. I don't know if I can, but I'll link them above and I'll also link them in the description box below, which let me just refresh your memory if you don't want to watch the videos again. But the premise of that book was my main character, Chloe, is on her school's newspaper, and she's investigating the expulsion of her classmate. And her classmate was expelled for theft and drug possession. He swears he didn't do it. Most people don't believe him. But when Chloe starts to look at things, she finds there might actually be some truth to his story. The school won't let her publish this in the paper, so she starts posting about her investigation on social media. And before long, Dean's case takes a turn and it gets a lot bigger and a lot more complicated than Chloe ever saw coming. And I really do love this book. But if you had seen those previous videos, you know I had conflicted feelings about pursuing publication for it. Because on the one hand, I love this book. And when I read it, I feel like it has so much value and that there are people it can really help and people I really think would benefit from it being in the world. And that was the biggest thing that kept me going. Also, I don't have anything else I'm ready to submit right now. So that just really was something. I was like, this book is done. It has value. I'm going to query it and see what happens. But as you may also know if you watch the previous videos, I am kind of past the point where this book is feeling really relevant to me personally. There's a lot of books I write where it's about me exploring something. This book had a little element of activism to it. And it was really inspired by a very specific time in my life that at this point in time, I am so far past. I started writing this book. I got the inspiration at the end of 2017. I started writing it at the beginning of 2018. And at this point, I'm so far removed from the events that inspired this book that my inner passion and my inner fire just isn't there for this. And I just wasn't feeling it completely. My heart isn't in it in the way it used to be. So I had these conflicting feelings about, do I really want this to be the thing that I put out next? So I had decided I was just going to leave it up to the universe. I was going to keep submitting it and see what happens. But then about a few weeks ago, I did have an agent request a full of the manuscript, which I was excited about. And I got her feedback from it. And she ultimately passed on it. And there have been other agents who have asked about this book and have read it, either a partial or a full. And as much as they were giving me good feedback on it. Overall, the feedback was good on the writing quality, all of that. But it always came down to the main character was what some people were the most critical or apprehensive about. And previously, the feedback I was getting, it was if I implemented that feedback, it wouldn't be the book I want it to be. And so I didn't implement the feedback. I just kept doing what I wanted to do and kept putting this book out there. And if you want information on how to evaluate feedback like that, I do have a video that I can link to for you. But so I took that feedback in and kind of just set it aside because it just wasn't resonating with me. So then I sent this book out to this agent who requested it. And overall, she did give so many complimentary things. I will absolutely submit to her again in the future because I do feel like there's actually a lot that we're kind of in sync with and aligned on. But ultimately what she had said, because before I give you this feedback, let me touch on one point of this book. So the book itself is written as if you are reading Chloe's investigation. So you are on her social media account. You are reading what happened as she's posting it. So it's you are experiencing this with the rest of her classmates, with the rest of the school. And then eventually it kind of spreads across the country and perhaps even the world. I don't think I got into that specific, but what's stopping it? So you are reading it as if you are following along the investigation. And the interesting thing about it is that Chloe isn't really in the story, right? She's the reporter. She's reporting on it. And that has been a little bit of a hook for a lot of agents. And they were trying to find ways to involve her more in the past. I didn't recognize this then, But having gotten this feedback from this agent, I realized that's what everyone was trying to do. They were trying to give Chloe more to do in the book. And it just didn't make sense though. Like it doesn't make sense for her to be more involved. And the feedback I got from this agent was that she felt too distant from the main character. She loved the point of view and using the social media aspect of it as a vehicle for storytelling, but she felt too removed from the character. And no other agent or anybody else who was giving me feedback was able to label it like that. And I will be honest, I had that concern. I've had that concern in the past. So what she's saying isn't really anything new. It's actually really resonated with me. So that was the other reason, like, I'm inclined to take this in. So I was thinking about it and I did a big journaling exercise on it. And I ultimately decided that based on this feedback and my breakdown of it, I'm going to share my reasons with you in case that's interesting or helpful to you in some way. But I decided I do not want to move forward with this book at this time. But that doesn't mean it's dead. I do have a plan for it. So let's get into my decision. So first, what I came to realize is one thing I was journaling about to help me make this decision was I found myself way more disappointed that this agent passed on my book than I was expecting. And when I dug into that disappointment, I realized I was so disappointed because it meant I had to keep querying this book. And I kind of don't want to. Like and beyond that, I don't really want to do any more work on this book. Like even if this agent were to have taken it and then sold it, I would have gotten an edit letter. And I don't want to work on this book anymore. I think it is really tight as it is. I think it's really functional as it is. Could an editor make it better? Probably. But I don't think it's bad. And I think it serves the purpose I want it to serve. And I just don't want to work on it anymore. Like we've talked about, my heart's not in it. The idea of having to revise this book is so far from exciting to me, I can't even begin to tell you. So if I don't want to work on this book, I also don't want to promote this book. So it doesn't make sense for me to continue to pursue publishing this book. The next realization, and now this piece came directly from that feedback we were talking about earlier in this video about the character relationship with the audience. And that is that I realized because of that feedback and then realizing this is really what agents have been trying to get me to do, like what the other agents' issues have had. The issue with this book is that I didn't write it for a YA audience. It's in a YA voice, it's set in a very YA setting, but I didn't write it for YA. I did not write it for young adult. I wrote it for teachers. Chloe is the vehicle, and I wouldn't tell it differently. I don't think there's a way, especially the way this idea came to me, I wouldn't do anything different, but it's also not for a traditional YA audience. So that's why when agents are giving me this feedback that they want me to make the main character more involved, it doesn't fit the story I want to tell, but it also can't be published in that market. Like it's a very hard sell for an agent to do that. So what I came to realize, and this is leading me to point 3, the next realization, is that this is a book that I think is really meant to be self-published, which I never thought I would do. And I'm not going to be doing it anytime soon because I don't have time for it. But, you know, this book, like, it's not for a traditional audience. It's not something you can put in a box and say, this is for the young adult market. This is for the adult market. To me, it's very specifically for teachers, like I just said. And it's told in a very unconventional way with a younger voice than you would typically use for teachers. But every time I tell teachers about this story, they light up. Like they get excited. And I realized it's because they're who I wrote it for. So if I'm going to be writing for a more targeted audience in an unconventional way, it's not going to be something I can do with traditional publishing. Just there isn't a framework for that. And that's where I think traditional publishing can be a little bit more limited. Additionally, since I don't want to work on this book anymore, and again, I really do think it's tight. Like I think it works as it is. And even the feedback I got said this is a very polished and impressive manuscript. Paraphrasing, but that was the gist. So like I feel really good about putting this book pretty much as it is out into the world. I am going to hire somebody to clean it up, make sure typos, grammar, that kind of stuff is in order. But aside from that, this book can pretty much be like shared as is. I've worked on it so much. It's been years that I have worked and reworked and reworked and reworked this book. So it is a prime candidate, I think, for self-publishing in a way that way it gets out into the world, because I do think it has value. I really do want teachers to have it. I think in a lot of ways, especially really good teachers, will find it very validating. And I want to give this to them. So this is a way that I can do that. I can get it out there without it having to feel like a burden to me. I can really live in the joy of what I made for somebody, for a group of somebodies, without it feeling like a burden. And then this is the biggest revelation. And it was that I don't think I want to write YA anymore. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, I'm not sure I ever really wanted to write YA. Because if you think about it, if you are a reader of mine, if you've read my books, you know I wrote the Raven Files books, which is a young adult spy series. Jocelyn, who is the main character of that book, is intentionally 18 years old. I made her 18 from the start because I wanted her to be able to do adult things. Because I knew the situations I was putting these characters in, I wanted to have like a YA audience with an adult feel. And I kind of wrote an adult book for a YA audience and got away with it. So I feel like for me, like I am just in a place now where adults really talking to me, adults really calling to me. And perhaps it always was, and I just didn't realize it. But I'm definitely going to be going in a more adult direction from now on. I mean, my work in progress is an adult fantasy book, and that's where my heart is. That's what I want to be doing. Now, of course, if I get the opportunity to finish the Raven Files series, my heart still is in that series. I will absolutely write those books. And like I said, I don't even feel like there's a point. They are YA, but they're also kind of adult too. I've had adult readers say they don't feel like they're teenagers. So I will be happy to write those books if and when the time comes. But aside from that, I'm not sure you're going to see any YA from me ever again. And I am a never say never person. Like I don't like to close windows and doors for myself. So I could come back. There could be a time and place. But I'm feeling like I don't want to write that anymore. So it doesn't make sense then for me to push a young adult book into the world just because it's done. So that's my decision. And I'm not going to lie, I feel really fucking good about it. Like when I came to this realization, it just felt so freeing. And it was me deciding that I don't have to keep making something and keep pushing something just because it's the next logical step. It can be enough to have made this thing and to find its own path forward, to give it its own path. And yet for me to be able to really stay grounded in myself and in what feels true for me right now. So if that sounds like something you'd like to continue to follow, please stick around. I'm excited to explore more about the adult audience and more about the adult ideas that I have. I feel like if you like my young adult books, I think you're still going to like the adult books too. Like I said, there is a certain adult flair to the Raven Files series, and I just think that's going to become even more enhanced in the books that I'm working on now. So I do hope you'll stick around. I hope I'm not losing you. If I am, though, thank you for being here. If this is where our journey ends, I totally understand. But I do hope you will stick around and explore what I'm up to in the adult arena. And if you would like to see what I'm working on next, there is a video about my adult fantasy series that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview. So I will link that next so you can enjoy that. But thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next one.